I'm going to talk now about complex narrative, and this is where things start to get a bit complicated. But the fascinating thing is that complex narrative flashback, where we have two stories jumping between past and present, works to patterns. This is astonishing. I found it astonishing, but it actually does. And so we can therefore create a kind of template for ourselves to use. Now, one of the problems about flashback that I call double narrative flashback. I had to invent these names because nobody was actually differentiating between the different sorts of flashback. So double narrative flashback is when you have a whole story in the past, usually a big story, and another story in the present, and you jump between the two. Now, what will often happen in that situation is that people just insert flashbacks randomly, and of course there is an energy loss now. Now, you can't do that. You do need to jump in specific places in the two narratives. Essentially, you jump on cliffhangers, but they're very special kinds of cliffhangers, and I'll explain that in a little more detail now. So let's have a look at what double narrative flashback is. Now, there are two main kinds of double narrative flashback. There's a kind that's about somebody who's lost a dream, and a dream has been taken from them, and they're now going to pursue that dream, and so they come back into society and they start to pursue that dream, and they're met by other people who are puzzled by them, and their story is told in flashback so that we, the audience, know about it. Often the people in the present don't know about it. So that's one sort, and I call that flashback as thwarted dream. Thwarted means a dream that's stolen, taken away from you. The other kind is case history flashback, and this is when you have a situation where an enigmatic outsider is dead or in some way inaccessible, and people are trying to find out about their past. Most clearly, Citizen Kane is the one that you'll remember with that. They're rather different in their intentions. The thwarted dream model has the philosophy that they're but for the grace of God, and the flashbacks explain the person's behaviour. Case history, on the other hand, is the kind of flashback which has a different view of humanity, and that is that people are inexplicable. They are more than the sum total of their past, and flashbacks do not explain them, and their past does not explain them. So you can see that very clearly in Citizen Kane, where the journalist goes and talks to everybody who knew Kane, but never finds out about what Rosebud, what it was exactly. We, the audience, do. That's something else. That's a little ironic twist that we often put in to the end of case history flashback to make it more interesting. So let's come back to the components of double narrative flashback. So how can you tell if you want to create a film that is using double narrative, jumping between past and present, and is not, for example, a preview flashback where you just will open on a scene from the probably close to the end of the movie and jump back to the disturbance of the story and just continue all the way through the story, repeating the scene that you open with and progressing to the end. How do you recognise that you really want to write something that's a double flashback, a double narrative flashback? Okay. Well, here are the characteristics of double narrative flashback. Number one, the action jumps between a complete story in the past and a complete story in the present. Now, the story in the past is usually longer and much more important than the story in the present. Secondly, we have a character called the enigmatic outsider. This is a person who's a mysterious person, a person who is normal people are trying to explain. This person suddenly appeared, and they often have a wisdom that is born of pain. Sometimes they're sinister, but very often they are people who have a mystery in the past and have come back to pursue a dream, or have somehow come back into society. It's often a kind of epic love story, and often the issue is love versus duty. So what the individual wants and what society or duty demands that the individual does. The other thing about it is that it's a detective story of kinds. I don't mean it's necessarily a criminal detective story. I mean that it's a mystery story, and the flashbacks are clues, and the flashbacks are going to explain the past bit by bit, and they will happen in chronological order, the flashbacks. Now, sometimes the flashbacks appear to be explaining the truth, and then right at the end we find out that it's not the truth, but the flashbacks are clues to what happened in the past. Often the issue will be the motivation. Why did this person act like such and so? Why are they behaving oddly now? And the flashbacks will explain that. It's often about human motives. In these films, usually you'll find that the past is more important than the present, and so that there's actually more time given to the story in the past. So if you're thinking about a film and you really want something that happened in the past to be terrifically important and to take up most of the time of the film, then it's starting to feel like it's going to be a double narrative flashback. The past will solve a mystery in the present, or else if we've got this case history form, it'll raise a question about the past. But there's a mystery, and the thing about flashback is that it turns your story into a mystery story. That's one of the interesting things about it. Now, successful double narrative flashback always jumps at major emotional moments in the story, right? And you can pick that pattern from the start of the film. And what you'll have at the start of the film is something that I have called the triggering crisis. Now, this is really interesting. This event will be part of a story in the past, but it'll also be the start of the story in the present. And the film is going to open on that, and that's how your stories are going to be connected, because a mystery is established at the start.